Before I tell you what happened, here's the practical point. Because guys like us don't need bedtime stories. We need patterns. Respect doesn't usually die in a dramatic explosion. It dies in small permissions. A sarcastic comment you ignore. A joke you swallow. A moment where your role quietly shifts from partner to staff. This story is about spotting that shift early and what it looks like when you stop negotiating your position. Not with speeches, with clean moves, access, structure, rules, and distance. If you've ever been told you're lucky to be in your own marriage, pay attention. The warning signs aren't subtle. We just get trained to call them stress until they become policy. I was sitting at the kitchen island in our Chicago penthouse, the marble cold under my forearms, my laptop open to trust protocols like it was any other Tuesday night. A cascade of alerts needed updating. One of those quiet maintenance cycles nobody applauds because nothing breaks. That's the whole point. Nothing breaks. The private elevator chimed. A few seconds later, Vivian's heels didn't click because she'd already kicked them off somewhere in the hall. Bare feet on marble. That soft slap of someone who owns the place in their head. She came in with a glass of wine like it was part of the outfit. Gala hair still perfect. That curated smile still hanging on her face. Only now it didn't have an audience. Vivian glanced at my screen and smirked. You're still playing with your little tables? I didn't look up right away. I finished typing, saved the change, then closed the laptop halfway. Those little tables are why the elevator works, why the staff gets paid, and why you can float through a room like you invented money. She took a slow sip, eyes drifting past me to the windows like the skyline was there to applaud her. Not with me, she said. For me, everything here is mine. The wine, the view, the air. My father built all of this. I raised an eyebrow. Your father built a name. I built the mechanics under it. She laughed, not happy, not even mean. Just bored. Mechanics. That's cute. Then she leaned one hip against the island like she was doing me a favor by staying in the room. If you're so important, Ryan, leave. Go ahead. You wouldn't last a week without me. That was the moment. Not because it was the cruelest thing she'd ever said. It wasn't. It was the first time she said the quiet part like a policy. I wasn't a husband. I was infrastructure. And she honestly believed you could swap infrastructure the way you swap a vendor. I looked at her glass. You sure you want that? She tipped her chin, amused. I'm sure you don't have the nerve. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have taken a picture of her face right then. Not for proof. For the timeline. Because 5 days later, that same face would be begging for a button that didn't exist. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I reached into my pocket, set 3 things on the marble in front of her. The penthouse keys, the car fob, and the black key card for the private elevator. They made a clean little line, like chess pieces. Vivian blinked once. What is that supposed to be? It's me leaving. I replied, calm enough to irritate her. You told me to. She scoffed. Oh my God. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic would be yelling. This is logistics. I slid my laptop into my bag, stood, and adjusted my jacket like I was heading to the office. Which, technically, I was. Vivian's smile tightened. You'll be back by morning. I walked past her without touching her. You'll be busy by morning. And I left. Outside the elevator, the hallway felt quiet in the way expensive buildings do, insulated from consequences. In the garage, my driver's spot sat empty. I didn't need the family car. I walked 2 blocks to a garage I'd been paying for under my own name for almost 2 years, got into my own vehicle, and drove to my own place. Not a crash pad. Not a friend's couch. My place. A clean condo with an office, 2 closets, and a silence that didn't judge me. I set my bag down, pulled my laptop out, and did the thing Vivian never bothered to understand. I took my signature off what was built on my signature. No theft. No sabotage. No drama. Just disengagement. The Hartwell family empire ran on layers. Trusts, credit facilities, authorization trees, access protocols, protective notifications, delegated powers that looked automatic if you didn't know where the human hand was. I was that hand. I designed it that way on purpose. Not to control anyone, to protect the whole machine from impulsive decisions and sloppy exposure. My off switch was clean because it had to be. Every structure has a withdrawal procedure. I simply executed mine. By 2:14 a.m., the discretionary approvals were paused. By 2:37, the personal guarantees tied to me were removed. By 3:05, the cascaded alerts rerouted away from my devices and back to the general administrative queue where they would sit like unattended luggage. I closed the laptop and made coffee because I knew what morning would sound like. It started at 8:06 a.m. The first call wasn't Vivian. It was a bank relationship manager who'd always treated me like the adult in the room. "Ryan," he said carefully, "I'm seeing changes in the Hartwell credit stack. The reserve line is effectively frozen." I kept my voice even. "That's correct. The discretionary line is paused. Payroll and core obligations should continue." There was a small exhale on the other end, like a man trying not to panic at a country club. "Is this temporary?" "It's conditional." He didn't ask what condition. He already knew. At 8:19, Vivian called. I watched her name flash and let it ring. At 8:27, Arthur Hartwell called. That one I answered. "Ryan." Arthur snapped, not even pretending to say hello. His voice had that cold authority men think is leadership. "What did you do?" I leaned back in my chair, staring at the clean wall of my office. "Good morning to you too. Don't play games," he said. "I have people calling me. We have obligations. We have salaries. We have vendor payments." "What did you do?" "Salaries will go through," I replied. "Core operations remain funded. The discretionary credit and structural access have been paused. Without my authorization, it doesn't move." There was a beat of silence. Arthur wasn't used to a man stating facts to him like he was a weather report. "You can't do that," he said finally, like he'd just discovered gravity. "I already did." His voice hardened. "Why?" I didn't give him a speech. I gave him the simplest truth. "Your daughter told me to leave. So I left. And I took my keys." Arthur's breathing changed. I could hear him recalculating. "Not emotionally. Financially. This is about a marital argument," he said, disgusted. "This is about respect," I corrected. "And function. Vivian's been treating my work like it's furniture. Last night she decided to remind me I'm nobody without the name. So I removed my name from the parts that require it." Arthur went quiet again, then tried a different angle, softer, almost reasonable. "Ryan, you're a practical man. Whatever happened, we can talk. Come to my office." "I'm at my office," I replied. "You know what I mean." "I do," I said. "And the answer is no. Not today. If you need a clear path forward, you'll talk to me like a partner, not a wrench you grab when the engine stalls." His voice sharpened again. "You're putting everyone at risk." "No," I said. "I'm putting everyone on reality." I ended the call before he could spit out another command. At 8:40, Vivian called again. This time I answered because I wanted her to hear my tone. Calm. Finished. Not bargaining. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she snapped. "My assistant says payments aren't going through. People are calling me." I glanced at my calendar. "That's a busy morning. You said I wouldn't last a week. It's not even lunchtime, and you're calling like the building's on fire." "You did this to punish me," she said. I let out a quiet laugh, the kind you do when someone reveals they don't understand the game they're in. "Vivian, you think everything is about you. That's the problem. Fix it," she demanded. "Right now. You're speaking to me like I'm your staff." "You are staff," she shot back, then caught herself like she'd slipped and showed the blade. "I mean, you handle the numbers. That's your thing." "My thing is my expertise," I replied. "Not your leash." Her voice dropped into that sweet tone she used on donors. "First illusion, right on schedule." "Ryan, okay. Last night was... I was tired. I had wine. I didn't mean it like that. Can we just reset?" I didn't bite. "No reset. You don't get to say everything is mine and then ask for reset when the systems prove you wrong." There was a pause. Then she pivoted back to anger because sweetness only works when the target is hungry for approval. "You're trying to make me beg," she hissed. I cut her off. "I don't want begging. I want you to understand something you've avoided for years. You live inside a structure you never bothered to learn. You called it yours because your name is on the lobby directory. That doesn't make you the engineer." "You're insane," she said, voice rising. I checked the time. "I have a meeting in 10 minutes. If you want to communicate, do it through counsel. I'm not doing kitchen arguments over credit facilities. You can't just..." I ended the call. By noon, the fallout had a rhythm. Services didn't stop like a movie. They slowed, questioned, requested verification, waited in queues. Everyone who made decisions suddenly wanted the decision maker. And Vivian, who loved being the face of the family, was discovering what faces are worth without a spine. That afternoon, I got a text from Lauren, Vivian's best friend. The one who always laughed too loud at Vivian's jokes but never looked me in the eye. Are you at your office? It read. Alone. Need 10 minutes. I stared at it. Lauren didn't ask anything without a reason. I replied, 2:30. Bring honesty. She showed up in a beige coat, hair pulled back, phone gripped like it was a weapon. Her eyes were tired, like she'd been watching a train come and couldn't stop it. Ryan, she said, stepping into my office. You look unsurprised. I gestured to the chair. I've been expecting consequences. Sit. She sat, then didn't. She perched, like she might bolt. Vivian is losing it, Lauren said. Noted, I replied. Lauren swallowed. I didn't come to update you. I came because I'm done being part of whatever this is. I leaned back. Go on. Lauren unlocked her phone and turned it toward me. A message thread. My name. Her name. Dates going back months. I should have told you earlier, she admitted. You reached out 6 months ago. You asked if Vivian was okay. You said she was changing. You weren't accusing. You were worried. I nodded once. I remember. Lauren's voice tightened. I told her you reached out. I thought it would wake her up. That was your first mistake, I replied. Lauren flinched like I'd slapped her with a fact. Yeah, I know. She scrolled, then held the phone closer. Here's why I'm here. Vivian's been planning to end this. Quietly. With a team. She told me she wanted to shock you. Make you look like some opportunist who got lucky marrying her. I didn't react. Not because it didn't hit. Because it confirmed what my gut had been filing away for 2 years. Lauren kept going, words spilling out now. She said you were replaceable. She said the family would back her. She said your son, your older son. She said she'd make sure he stayed out of the picture. Like he was a stain. My jaw tightened, just slightly. She said that to you? Lauren nodded, ashamed. More than once. I stood, walked to my window, looked down at the street like it had answers. Vivian's biggest talent is making people think her feelings are the only reality. Lauren's eyes filled, not with tears, with frustration. You don't get it. She thinks you're bluffing. She thinks you'll come crawling back when your pride runs out. I turned back to her. My pride isn't a bank account. Lauren exhaled, then dropped the last piece like a stone. And Ryan, people respect you more than they respect her. She doesn't see it because she thinks respect comes from invitations and last names. But the staff, the finance people, the board, they talk. They always said you were the one holding it together. I tilted my head. And you're telling me this now because? Lauren looked away. Because she called me today and said she was going to burn you socially if you didn't fix everything. And I realized I don't want to be on that side of the room. I nodded once. Then don't be. Lauren stood, hesitated, then said quietly, you're doing the right thing. You're just doing it in a way she can't manipulate. As she left, my phone buzzed again. Not Vivian. Emma. My daughter. Dad. Can we talk? Not at home. Not with Mom. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Emma was 17, sharp, and tired of being used as a prop in her mother's story. I replied, tomorrow. Lunch. Your choice of place. Her answer came fast. Quiet cafe near your office. I can get there. I texted back, I'll be outside. You won't walk in alone. That was my second initiative. Not reactive. Not defensive. I was building my own lane. The next morning, Emma slid into the booth across from me. Hoodie up like she wanted to disappear. Her eyes were dry. That's how you know it's been going on a while. She didn't waste time. Mom says you're trying to ruin her. I stirred my coffee slowly. Your mother says a lot of things. Emma's mouth tightened. Are you? No, I replied. I left. Because she told me to. And because I'm not staying where I'm treated like furniture. Emma watched me like she was looking for cracks. She says you're doing this to control her. I gave a short, humorless chuckle. That's rich. Vivian wouldn't know control if it wasn't in her own hands. Emma leaned forward. Then why is everything falling apart? Because it wasn't everything. It was my work, I said plainly. Your mom enjoyed the output and disrespected the source. The moment I stepped away, the system stopped pretending they were magic. Emma's voice dropped. She told me you'd never leave because you don't have anything without the family. I met her eyes. I have my own office. My own company. I've had it for a while. Emma blinked. Why didn't you tell me? Because your mom doesn't handle facts well when they aren't flattering, I replied. And because I didn't want you in the middle. Emma swallowed, then asked the question that mattered. Is she really planning to end this? Like, for real? I didn't sugarcoat. She's been preparing. Documents. Advisors. A story where I'm nobody and she's the brave one. Emma stared down at her hands. She told me you were lucky she married you. I shrugged lightly. I was lucky to get you. That landed. I saw it in her face. A shift from the narrative to the person. Then Emma said, quieter, "Is it true she hates Nate?" I didn't flinch. I nodded. Vivian never accepted him. Your brother existed before Vivian, and she treated him like an inconvenience. For years, she kept him out of this home, out of our holidays, out of our life. Emma's eyes widened, anger rising. She told me you didn't really have a relationship with him. I did, I said steady. Just not in a way your mother could sabotage. I chose both my kids. I just did it quietly. Emma's throat worked like she was swallowing something bitter. That's messed up. It's controlling, I corrected. And it's why I'm done. Emma sat back, then surprised me. I want to meet him. I nodded immediately. Okay. Like, soon, she added, almost challenging me. Saturday, I replied. Lunch. Neutral place. And it won't be a big talk. Just two siblings meeting. Emma's eyes softened, just a little. Mom's going to lose it. I gave her a small smile. She doesn't get a vote on reality anymore. Emma looked out the window, then back at me. Dad, are you okay? I tapped the table lightly. I'm clear. That's better than okay. When Emma left, she hugged me quickly, like she didn't want to be seen. Then she walked to my car without looking back at the cafe. Small act. Big shift. Another piece of Vivian's control slipping away. That afternoon, Arthur tried again. This time, he didn't call. He summoned. His assistant emailed my office. Mr. Hartwell requests your presence at 4 o'clock. Requests. Cute. I replied. Mr. Hartwell may meet me at 4:30 in my office. Bring whoever needs clarity. That was my moment in reverse. I wasn't walking into his building like an employee. I was making him cross town like a client. At 4:29, Arthur walked into my office with a man in a suit and another man with a leather folder. Lawyer and accountant types. Vivian's favorite backup dancers. Arthur didn't sit until I sat. He hated that. He stared at my conference table like it had insulted him. This has gone far enough. I nodded. Good. Then we can be efficient. Arthur's lawyer spoke first, formal tone, practiced. Ryan, we're here to understand the scope of what you've changed and how we can restore normal operations. I looked at him. Normal for who? The accountant cleared his throat, opened his folder. There are concerns about liquidity, discretionary spending, and I cut him off with a small hand gesture. Payroll and core obligations are stable. I built it that way. What's unstable is the part where Vivian treats discretionary access like a birthright. Arthur's eyes narrowed. Don't lecture me about my daughter. I'm not lecturing, I replied. I'm explaining consequences. Arthur leaned forward. Your role was to support the family. My role was to protect the system, I corrected. Support is what you call it when you want someone to forget their value. The lawyer tried again. We can draft temporary authorizations. No, I said. The room went still. Arthur blinked, offended. Excuse me. You don't understand? I said evenly. There is no override. There is no temporary button. I designed it so no one person could steamroll the structure on a whim, including you. Arthur's nostrils flared. You designed it that way for control. I smiled faintly. I designed it that way for safety. If you thought it was for control, you should have asked questions before signing. That hit. The lawyer shifted. The accountant looked down. They all knew I was right, and they hated it. Arthur tried a different move. Not warmth, not threats. Bargain. What do you want? I kept my voice calm. I want Vivian out of operational decision-making. I want my role recognized formally. And I want compensation aligned with what I actually do, not what people pretend I do at galas. Arthur's jaw tightened. You want a seat? I already earned it, I replied. Now you can either acknowledge it or watch the machine crawl every time someone needs approval. Arthur's lawyer opened his mouth, and I raised a finger. And one more thing. Emma meets her brother on Saturday. Vivian doesn't interfere. Arthur froze. That's a family matter. It is, I agreed. Which is why Vivian doesn't get to block it. Arthur stared at me for a long second, then did something unexpected. He didn't explode. He didn't threaten. He simply realized the power dynamic had shifted. Fine, he said, clipped. We'll discuss your terms with the board. I nodded once. Good. As they left, Arthur paused at the door. You always were meticulous. I gave him a polite smile. And you always liked it when it benefited you. He didn't respond. He just walked out. That night, My phone buzzed with a message from Vivian that looked like it was written by a different person. Ryan, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I know you're upset. I'd like to talk when you're ready. I'll keep it calm. First illusion again, but cleaner. Apology language. Calm language. Like she'd discovered manners under pressure. I didn't reply. 30 minutes later, a second message came in. I left something for you with the concierge. Your favorite pastries. No strings. Just peace. I actually laughed out loud in my empty condo. Pastries. She thought respect was a snack you could deliver. I didn't go to the building. Saturday came. Emma met Nate. Nate is 24, tall, quiet, and watchful. He's got my eyes and my patience, which means he sees more than he says. When he showed up, he nodded at me like we had an unspoken contract. Keep it simple. Emma walked in, saw him, froze, then stepped forward. Hi, I'm Emma. Nate smiled, polite, careful. Hey, I'm Nate. Emma looked at his face like she was checking the parts. You look like Dad. Nate shrugged. Yeah, I've been told. They sat. They talked about school, music, dumb family habits. No trauma dump. No dramatic speeches. Just two people connecting without Vivian holding the script. At one point, Emma leaned over and whispered to me, "Why would she keep him away?" I replied quietly, "Because he reminded her you had a life before her." Emma sat back, jaw tight. That's insecure. I nodded. Control often is. When lunch ended, Emma hugged Nate. Actual hug. Not polite. Not performative. Real. As Emma got into my car, her phone lit up. Vivian's name. Emma stared at it, then turned the phone face down without answering. That was the moment I knew Vivian wasn't losing me. She was losing her grip on the story. The following Monday, the Hartwell board convened an emergency meeting. I didn't ask for an invite. I got one. Walking into that boardroom felt like stepping into the part of the house Vivian thought belonged to her father. Old men in tailored suits. A couple of women who knew the numbers better than anyone, but let the men talk first. A long table, a wall of glass, and a silence that smelled like money trying not to sweat. Vivian was there, wearing a cream blazer like she was auditioning for innocence. Her eyes cut to me, sharp, then flicked away as if looking at me too long might admit I existed. Arthur sat at the head. We're here to address operational continuity. One of the older board members, Gerald, a man who rarely spoke unless it mattered, looked directly at Vivian. Let's stop calling it continuity. We're here because we treated the architect like an accessory. Vivian's lips tightened. That's inappropriate. Gerald didn't blink. What's inappropriate is pretending you understand the system you've been living inside. Vivian laughed, brittle. I'm the Hartwell family. I don't need a lecture from me, she meant. She just didn't want to say it. A woman on the board, Denise, quiet but lethal, slid a packet across the table. Here are the authorization maps. There is no unilateral override. Ryan built it that way. If Ryan disengages, the machine slows. That's not drama. That's design. Vivian snapped. So what? We hand him the keys to everything because he's throwing a tantrum. I finally spoke. It's not a tantrum. It's a boundary. If you can't tell the difference, that's why we're here. Vivian's eyes flashed. You're enjoying this. I gave her a calm look. I'm enjoying clarity. Arthur cleared his throat. Vivian, step out for a moment. She stared at him like she misheard. Excuse me. Step out. Arthur repeated, colder now. This is operational, not social. Vivian looked around the table, searching for loyalty. What she found was professionalism. She stood, collected her folder with exaggerated care, and walked out. Her heels clicked this time. Angry punctuation. When the door shut, Gerald leaned back. We can't run a complex structure on vibes and last names. Denise nodded. We need Ryan in formal operational control, a board seat, and compensation commensurate with the function. Arthur's jaw worked. He's family. Gerald's eyes narrowed. No, he's the reason the family still looks competent. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I let them say it. Let them swallow the truth they'd been avoiding because it made social life easier. Arthur finally looked at me. What do you need to return full operational capacity? I need authority aligned with responsibility, I replied. And I need Vivian removed from any channel where she can interfere with operations or weaponize access. Denise added, and we need separation between personal spending and operational funding. The bleed is unacceptable. Arthur's face darkened. What bleed? Denise opened another file. Vivian has accumulated significant personal debt over the last 3 years. Roughly $2 million across revolving credit and consumer notes. Charges disguised as family expenses. Payments were being covered through a trust draw structure Ryan created, which is now dry. Arthur's eyes widened, then narrowed with rage. Vivian did what? Gerald exhaled. There it is. Arthur's mouth tightened like a trap. Why is the trust dry? I spoke calmly. Because 2 years ago I separated my finances and stopped patching holes I didn't create. The trust had parameters. It wasn't meant to fund a lifestyle without accountability. Arthur looked like he wanted to shout, but he didn't. Not here. Not in front of witnesses who mattered. Denise continued, clinical. Also, the art initiative has been operating at a loss. The board of the gallery is considering leadership changes to avoid reputational exposure. Arthur rubbed his temple. Leadership changes, meaning Vivian. Gerald nodded once. Meaning Vivian. Arthur looked at me again, and there was something new in his eyes. Not affection, respect. The kind that arrives late and costs more. We'll draft terms, he said. Operational control, board seat, compensation. I nodded. Good. As I stood to leave, Denise stopped me. Ryan. I turned. Her tone softened slightly. You protected that machine longer than you had to. I gave a small shrug. I was protecting my daughter. Denise nodded. Then keep doing that. Don't let the social side pull you back in. I walked out. That evening, a thick envelope arrived at my condo. No return address. Inside was a small flash drive and a printed summary from a private investigator. I didn't need to ask who sent it. Someone inside the Hartwell orbit finally decided Vivian's secrets were too expensive. I plugged the drive into my laptop and watched the clean, ugly timeline unfold. Restaurant receipts under Vivian's maiden name, hotel stays, short flights, curated messages with a man from the New York art world, and a plan written like a strategy memo. Wait until the end of the financial year, position the narrative, secure maximum comfort, frame Ryan as irrelevant. No dramatic photos. No tabloid nonsense. Just a documented parallel life and a documented plan to erase me after extracting what she could. I sat back in my chair and let the last piece click into place. Vivian didn't lose respect in a moment. She'd been budgeting my replacement. The next morning, my assistant buzzed in. Ryan, Mrs. Hartwell is here. She insists. I didn't look up from my screen. Give her 5 minutes. And keep the door open. Vivian walked in like she owned oxygen. Then she saw my face and adjusted. Second illusion of change, upgraded, vulnerability. Ryan, she said softly. Please, can we talk like humans? I gestured to the chair. 5 minutes. She sat, hands folded, eyes glossy like she'd practiced in the mirror. This has gone too far. You're tearing down everything. I nodded slowly. No. I stepped away from what I built. That's different. Her voice tightened. You're humiliating me. I tilted my head. You humiliated yourself the moment you called me nobody in my own home. Vivian inhaled, then tried warmth. I was out of line. I'm sorry. I miss you. Emma misses you. We can do therapy. We can rebuild. I gave a small, tired smile. Vivian, you don't rebuild something you were already planning to abandon. Her eyes widened just enough. What are you talking about? I reached into a folder and slid a few pages across my desk. Not everything. Just enough. Dates. Sums. Travel logs. The kind of facts that don't argue. They just exist. Vivian's gaze dropped. Her face drained. She looked up, voice a whisper. You had me watched. I had myself protected, I replied. You taught me to do that. Vivian's mouth opened, then closed. She tried to regain posture. Those are nothing. You're twisting things. I nodded once. Sure. And the messages about waiting for the end of the financial year? Also nothing. Her eyes flicked away. A tell. Small, but there. I leaned forward slightly. Here's how this goes now. Communication through attorneys. No surprise visits. No scenes. No reset. Vivian's voice sharpened, panic leaking through the performance. So you're just going to throw me away? I gave her a calm look. I'm going to stop participating in your version of reality. She swallowed hard, then tried the last weapon, tears and pleading. Ryan, please. Don't do this. You're the only one who understands the system. My father is furious. The board is turning on me. I can't. I held up a hand. Stop. She froze. I spoke slowly, clear. You have two options. One, a quiet, honest settlement with fair parenting terms, and you stop trying to erase Nate from this family. Emma has a brother. That's not negotiable. 2. You escalate publicly and I respond with facts. Not stories. Facts. Vivian stared at me, breathing shallow. You wouldn't. I shrugged. Try me. Her face shifted, not sadness. Calculation. She was measuring the odds and realizing her usual tools weren't in the room. She stood abruptly. You think you're some hero. I stayed seated. I'm not a hero. I'm a man who got tired of being treated like a tool. Vivian's eyes narrowed, voice low and venomous. You're going to regret this. I smiled polite. Vivian, you already bet on me being weak. That's why you're here. She stormed out. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. A message from Lauren. She's telling people you're unstable. Just so you know. I replied, let her. Facts don't require popularity. By the end of the week, Vivian was removed from operational decisions. The gallery board quietly restructured leadership to protect their public image. Arthur tightened, spending controls like a man trying to discipline a storm. The discretionary line stayed paused until the new governance was signed, with my name where it belonged. Vivian didn't lose the penthouse immediately. She lost something worse. The invisible network that made her feel untouchable. The assistants stopped returning calls quickly. The vendors asked for pre-approval. The social circle got polite and distant, the way wealthy people do when someone becomes inconvenient. And Emma stopped playing along. One night, Emma called me from a quiet place. Mom said I'm betraying her. I kept my voice steady. You're not betraying anyone. You're choosing truth. Emma exhaled. She said Nate is a problem. I kept my tone even. Your brother isn't a problem. Your mother's need to control the picture is. Emma was quiet, then said, I'm staying with you next weekend. I didn't ask permission from Vivian. I said, okay, I'll have your room ready. That was the final shift. Not because Vivian couldn't handle me leaving. She could frame that. She couldn't handle losing control of Emma. The last time I saw Vivian in person was in a lobby downtown. She walked in, saw Emma beside me, and her smile went rigid. Vivian's voice was sweet enough to fool strangers. Emma, honey, come here. Emma didn't move. No. Vivian's eyes flashed. Excuse me. Emma looked at her mother and said, calm and clear, you don't get to treat Dad like he's nothing and then tell me who my family is. Vivian's face tightened. Ryan put you up to this. Emma shook her head. You did. Vivian turned her stare on me like a spotlight. Are you satisfied? I gave her the most honest answer I had. I'm finished. She scoffed. You'll always be the man who married the name. I stepped closer, not aggressive, just present. And you'll always be the woman who thought a name could replace competence. Vivian's lips parted like she wanted to spit something sharp, but she didn't. Too many people around. Too much image risk. I turned to Emma. Let's go. As we walked out, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The point wasn't to win a stare down. The point was to exit her script permanently. A few months later, my life looked different in the way real life changes, quietly, then all at once. I had my own house, not a trophy, just a place that felt like mine. I drove a car I chose because I liked it, not because it matched a family brand. My work was mine too. My firm grew because clients liked stability, not social theater. Emma split her time without drama because I refused drama as a currency. Nate came around more. The siblings built their relationship without permission slips from a woman who wanted to edit the family tree. And yes, there was another woman eventually. Not a rescue fantasy, not a replacement prop. Just an adult who spoke like an adult. A woman who didn't confuse sarcasm for intimacy and didn't treat my value like it was rented. As for Vivian, I didn't watch her spiral. I didn't need to. I heard enough. Tightened budgets, fewer invitations, a lot of reinvention language from a person who hated being forced into honesty. The world didn't punish her. Reality simply stopped covering her tab. That's the part people misunderstand. You don't need to destroy someone to end their control. You just remove your participation. The rest handles itself. And if I had to sum up the moment it truly ended, it wasn't the night I left the keys on the marble. It was the day she walked into my office thinking she still owned the narrative, and walked out realizing the narrative was never hers to begin with. Here's what I learned, and it's simple enough to use without turning your life into a lecture. First, the earliest sign isn't shouting. It's contempt dressed as humor. Your little tables. Your boring work. That's not banter. That's a test to see if you'll accept being reduced. The mistake would have been trying to win respect with more effort, more explanations, more "look what I do." Respect doesn't come from proving. It comes from boundaries you enforce. Second, don't threaten changes, build them. I didn't leave as a performance. I left because I already had an exit lane. My own office, my own structure, my own plan. The mistake would have been announcing a boundary I couldn't back up. People who treat you like staff are counting on you to bluff. Third, when someone tries to rewrite you into nobody, don't fight with emotion. Fight with clarity. I didn't beg for apologies. I didn't negotiate for kindness. I changed access, changed rules, and moved communication into channels where theatrics don't work. The mistake would have been letting her pull me back into private arguments where she could twist the story and drain my focus. Comfort is easy to protect. Respect is harder. But respect is the only thing that makes comfort worth having. When it's gone, the strongest move isn't louder words. It's clean decisions, made early and enforced without theatrics.